Okay, it's Jeff here. We're back for part 3 and hopefully the conclusion of our playthrough of the Ziggurat. In our last episode, Vulcan, our Viking blacksmith, really had a turn for the worst. I think is probably the only way to describe it. After a stellar start, we lost half the party, or over half the party, transfixed, if you like, to some kind of ghostly illusion in the Eldritch halls, followed up by what could only be described as a kind of rabid tentacle attack at the Well of Souls, which pretty much did us in. And we are on our last legs, as it were, still sort of struggling to survive. But the princess still not found. So we didn't quite finish or conclude the turn at the end of the last session, and all we had left to do was really to process the peril track. There's nothing to do there, and then to reveal a peril card. This says, "Drums in the deep, beating of the drums. The end comes soon. We hear the drums in the deep. They are coming." So. Interestingly enough, we've had this eerie silence since a couple of areas or regions of the dungeon back, and now drums are beating in the background. It sounds pretty ominous. It sounds like the sacrifice is close at hand. But one of the benefits of this particular environment that's come out is that we now have a bonus to any shadow tests that we might want to perform. So being sneaky is a little bit easier with these drums kind of beating in the background. So we have a couple of difficult decisions to make. So I've had a little bit of a think since the last time we were at the playthrough. And we know from the setup of the adventure, this is a little bit of meta talk, we know from the setup of the adventure that we really don't have very many tiles in the Ziggurat left. So we are very close to stumbling across the altar and the sacrifice itself. And unfortunately, you would normally hope to be in a kind of stronger position than we are. And we're just not. I mean, we're against the odds. We haven't got any companions. We've lost all of our enchantments. And we're kind of at about half health, which is not ideal. So what I was thinking we could do, it's still available to us, is we could look to explore the vats. There's no guarantee that that's going to be, good or bad. It could be good or bad. And so probably what we're hoping for, seeing as we've had such a run of bad luck, that there'll be, at least some good fortune in the vats. We might discover something of interest, maybe some forbidden knowledge that we can use to enchant our weapon again and to make us a little bit more of an adversary for our foes that we know are coming up. Plus it gives me a chance to show you a kind of longer movement and what happens when you go through that phase of kind of backtracking in the dungeon. So first things first, it is the movement phase, and so we need to decide where we're going to move to. And you can actually move any distance through the dungeon to somewhere that's been explored previously. There's just a penalty if you move beyond a single tile. So we're going to move 1, 2, we don't count the secret doors, so we just count the doors that we move through. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to move 4 doors to the vats. Or actually, I tell a lie, we're not going to move 4 doors. We're going to move 3 doors because that's unexplored. And part of the explore phase will be to move through that particular door. So just to count that again, that's 1, 2, not counting the secret door, 3. So we've gone through 3 specific doors to get to this particular location. Now, in the case of going over 2+ locations, we then have to do this thing called backtrack, which is not really that bad. We just have to record that time passes, and we're going to make a shadow roll to see if we haven't picked up a tail, a wandering monster, effectively, in the Ziggurat. So let's do that. Time passes, so we add a token to threat level, and we have to make a shadow roll. And the shadow roll is 3 plus the number of doorways that you've gone through. So it's a progress roll of 6, which is particularly difficult. We are benefiting from a +1 modification because of the drums, and we already get +1 because we're pretty sneaky as a little Viking blacksmith. So we've got +2 to the roll, and we need a progress of 6. So that's a 5. So we've got progress 4 so far. And last roll is 2 plus 2 is 4, and that's another 2. So that's 6. So we're successful. We don't pick up a tail, and we creep through the Ziggurat all the way back to the temple ruins. And then we go into, well, interesting enough, we could optionally scout at this particular point and draw a new tile. The problem with that is if we were to draw that tile, we'd have to place it right next to it, so it's not too bad an issue, I guess. Do we want to reveal a tile at this stage? Perhaps we do. I want to know what's coming up, because otherwise we could be in the more information, the better. So we will scout. Aha! Okay, so it's the stone plinth. This is where the altar is, where the sacrifice is taking place. Now, I'm going to connect that door here. Now, interestingly enough, you can connect a door. Remember, the rules are that it has to have at least 2 sides touching another tile, and the doors need to match. Even though this door doesn't match with the secret door, it still matches with another door on that particular matching tile. And we'll place a unexplored token on the stone plinth. Now that that's been revealed, number 37, and we know that that on our adventure card is our next quest card, it's our next location, we can't reveal any more map tiles until we resolve this particular exploration. But that's okay. We're going to go into the vats and we're going to see what's there. So we'll start the exploration phase by moving into the vats and determining what we find. Okay, so 39, the vats. Okay, interesting. We find a half-built little golem there. It says, you enter the fleshworks, shadowed alcoves house eerie contraptions, and distillation vats bubble with bubonic brews. Here Thoth's carvers and muscle mechanics stitch their arcane arts. Upon the workshop table rests an inanimate, half-formed golem. Okay, well that's interesting. So we have a peril question here. We can either pillage the dormant construct or endeavour to awaken its might. All right, well, I think we're going to awaken its might. We haven't got any companions at all. If we can grab a golem as a companion, that really would be quite useful, yeah? But let's see what's required. Okay, so we're not going to dismember the golem. We're going to go for repair the golem. You have to check progress law 5, which isn't great for us, unfortunately. We can get a +1 mod per item discarded that has the clockwork or vital keywords. On a fail, just move to memories. On success, we get a clockwork companion. All right, so that sounds really, really good, but we do have to pass. We've got a grit of 5, so it's possible that, you know, we've got at least a roll of 5. We do have a clockwork item that we could use to, you know, put the clockwork gizmo inside our golem. I don't like that though, because this gives us an option to, you know, repair a clockwork mechanism. So in other words, heal a golem, which could be really cool. We'd heal our golem 5 hit points. It's massive. Or change the target of a clockwork enemy for 1 attack. That's a hard decision. That's a hard decision. It's only +1 as a mod. I'm going to say no. We'll keep... I might live to regret this, but anyway, we're going to keep the Glockwork gizmo, and we're just going to roll straight. So we need a law 5. We've got no modifiers, but we do have a grit of 5. Let's see if we can be successful. Oh! That's the worst possible roll. Okay, we're going to burn grit. So we get to turn that to a 5, and we make progress of 2. So we get another straight roll. We need 3 or more in order to repair this golem. Oh, the suspense. So that 7 doesn't pass, obviously, but the 1 does. So we're now up to 3. We need 2 or more in order to successfully repair the golem. Come on! A 6! Yes! So that takes us over the threshold and we are successful. All right, so when we repair this golem, this is interesting because it's the first time we've seen one of these things. It's called a persona. So it says, I'll show you in a sec, but it says, first of all, search the cultists for a clockwork mechanism. All right, so let's have a look at the cultists. Oops, that's scripts. At the cultists, and what we want is to progress through the deck until we find a clockwork, and so the very top one is clockwork, which is great, and I'll show you what he looks like. So we have this gormless golem, a sluggish construct protecting the faithful, and he's got this massive attack of 4 and hit points of 9, so he's great as an option for us, but we have to attach this persona. So the way this works is the card has like an extra little attachment which you put on your companion, which modifies his traits. So this little golem, funnily enough, the gormless golem, is called Gorm. Gorm goes where he is told. But the trait says ignore all traits and powers on your companion. So we don't get to participate or use any of these traits and powers. The only thing we can use is the straight attack and his health, which is pretty good. It's just pretty good. And he does have a special power, and his special power says, I am Gorm. All right, great. Yeah, I understand that reference. No problem. So we're going to put that companion. I'm quite happy with that. It's turned out relatively well for us, and we no longer are alone in our particular endeavour. At least we have Gorm, who can help us in our upcoming battle. We didn't find any forbidden knowledge, which is actually what I was hoping for in the VATS. VATS is kind of like a laboratory, if you like. But we did find a Gormless Golem. Sweet. All right, well, that's the end of our turn. We can choose to rest or press on. I think we've got to rest, need to heal. I don't think there's anything else that we need to do beyond healing. Healing would be good. I do think we need to do that. So we're going to get an extra bit of peril here, but we're very close to engaging them, so I don't think it's going to matter all that much. Let's do that. I'm going to do a heal on muscle. It's a 6, plus 2 is 8, so we actually heal for 7, which is fantastic. I think that takes us all the way to our maximum of 12. Which is beautiful. Sorry, I forgot that time passes. There's no other rest actions that we can perform. We haven't got any true names to be able to do another summoning ritual. So, okay, well, I guess that's it. We go into the peril phase. So there's no... there's nothing to sort of process here. Still, the drums are beating in the background in anticipation of the sacrifice, and we have a peril card. Ooh. Okay, this is interesting. A rescue mission. Let me just show you that. It says, you meet a young heroine in search of her starry-eyed younger brother who left home to join the cultists. You may draw a companion female and attach the Ophelia persona. Okay, no sooner do I say you haven't seen any personas, we get 2 straight in a row. So we need to find a companion. So that's a male companion. That's no good. So a female companion. Perfect. Let's see who we've picked up. So we've gone from no friends to lots of friends. All right, so this is an illusionist, a charming sorceress. What can she do again? She's pretty weak in the attack, but she's got the power to beguile, stun a... So she can stun people, but she needs to have an equipment of 1, and I don't have any loot at all, which is most unfortunate, I must say. But nonetheless, she's a friend. She can do 2 points of damage. Stab somebody in the back maybe. We'll see. We really need equipment for her to be at all helpful, but beggars cannot be choosers, as they say. All right, so that's the end of the peril phase. It's most fortunate to find a nice companion in the peril phase. We go through into the next round. So we can't really explore any further, so we might as well just go straight to the stone plinth to progress the quest. Now, theoretically, we could camp, we could try and heal up, rest up, but there's nothing really left for us to do except to go straight in and see what on earth is going on at the altar. So we're going to go through this doorway and explore. So this time we've entered 37, we're going to the next act of the quest. And it says, the altar. You reach the altar in time to interrupt the vile ceremony. A beautiful young woman in a blood-soaked gossamer gown struggles with a group of cultists. Aha! You launch a desperate attack to rescue the princess from the clutches of Xanthea, the Sibylline, High Priestess of Thoth. Well, that doesn't bode well. On reveal, escalate the threat level to level 3 and resolve if you have not already. Okay, so it wasn't too bad. We managed to sneak around in our quest without being discovered, but now it says the jig is up. You have been discovered. No kidding. All right, so on reveal, if we have any cultist companions, we don't. So he doesn't count as a cultist companion. His new keywords are guardian, companion, and clockwork, even though he has cultist here. Place a cult humanoid on the peril track. So that's like a patrol. So have we got any cult humanoids? Yep, on the peril track, put that there. And place 3 tokens. So put 3. So they're quite close behind us. That's sort of problematic. All right, no problem. No friends anywhere. No parley actions are possible when denizens have the cultist keyword. All right, so fine. We can't talk to cultists anymore. The forbidden jungle. The jungle is overrun. You cannot move through jungle map tiles. All right, so no problem. And last but not least, threat escalation. Rather than it, so I'll just show you that. Rather than the threat escalating any further, anytime there are more than 3 tokens here, we basically put another cultist on the pursuit track. So we're gonna, if we're not quick, we're gonna start building up lots and lots of people chasing us through the dungeon. So we got to finish what we're about and get the hell out of here. All right, so next, the boss fight. Spawn Xanthea, the Sibylline, and spawn a cultist. All right, so we have a look at these set-aside cards. So we've set aside Xanthea, the Sibylline. Where am I going to put these cards? Maybe I put them here. So I'll move these up to this sort of section. You can still see those. Good. Put her in place. And we also have a princess. So she's at the top there. And we have another cultist, any old cultist, so the top cultist. And bolster. Okay, so I'll do that straight away, so they get an extra card. I'll just put that to the side. A hex ward. So the hero takes stun and confused. So we are stunned for the first round. And we are confused for the first round. I'll just remember that. Confused simply means that you're unable to use your companion's powers. So they can't attack. They can still defend, but they can't do any of their attacks because you can't kind of coordinate those attacks. All right, so next we need to equip these guys and find out, how strong they are. So first things first, let me just put a little marker on the princess to say that she is trapped and we need to free her. And then let's have a look at Xanthea the Sibylline and see what her loot's like. So she's got a Guardian card, so she gets 1 bonus loot. But the current loot level is at 4. So she gets 4 cards. We'll match them first to see whether or not she has any matching icons. So she's after suns. She gets 2 suns plus a bonus card for being a leader. And then our cultist here, who is the Zealot. Oh, that's not good. He gets also, so I'll just have to reshuffle the loot deck. So we've sort of run out of loot. Just reshuffle that. He also gets the same. So every time you have an independent spawning, they automatically get their own loot. So there could be quite a few people here at the altar, which, I guess that's what you want. It's like a boss fight, isn't it? It's kind of the finale. So, all right, so he gets 1, 2, 3, 4 loot. And let's see what he gets to match. He's matching pentacles, so he gets 2 of those. And he is bolstered as well, so he gets that bolster. All right, let's do Sibylline first. She has only got a loot limit of 1. So she immediately spawns a friend. And her friend is any cultist humanoid. All right, so she has a friend who is a compunctious cultist who gets 2 cards. And the Zealot, well, he's got a loot limit of 3 and 3 cards. So we're lucky. We don't get any additional spawns from this lot. We really just have 3 cultists to have to deal with and the princess who's sort of trapped behind them. Okay, so far, so good. Next, what does it say? Okay, the escape. Escape the Ziggurat. Combat is locked until the princess is your companion. So that simply means we cannot leave the combat. We're kind of entangled. We can't get out of the combat until we have the princess as a companion. Then you may flee at any time. Okay. The Princess of Arn must be freed before you can escape. And you now have a new attack action called Rescue. You can check Progress Shadow 3 to rescue. And on a success, gain the companion. All right. Then we need to escape through the tunnel. Sounds easy. All right, so the first round is going to be particularly bad for us because we're stunned, we can't do anything, and we're against the odds. So none of those things are good for us. I think we've just got to try and work out what we can do to survive as long as we can. So the first thing, remember you can use an item, a single item, every single combat round, and you can do that at any time, regardless of your initiative. So in round 1, and the very first thing I'm going to do is quaff this potion, the tonic of the granite wall. Now, that gives me +2 armor. I'm just going to place that there to remind me. So now we have at least an armor of 2 in defense. So the first thing we do is defend, because we're against the odds. I'll roll the dice here and see what outcome we get. Oh, before I do that, I need to say who's attacking who. So there's 3 different attacks going on, and I need to kind of nominate their targets. The first attack from the Zealot, that's going to be particularly bad. He's going to do a Holy Smite. It's a +3 attack. It's +10 versus undead. I don't have any undead. So it's a +3 attack. He's going to do 6 points of damage to somebody. That'd be enough to kill Ophelia. I've got 12 hit points. Maybe it should be Gorm. He's got armor of 2. Okay, I'm going to have him be attacked by the Zealot. And then in terms of the compunctious cultist, I'll take that attack and I'll take the attack from Sibylline. All right, no problem. Defense, 3. We roll a 3 for defense. That is a really bad miss. So no problem. We're going to gain a grit for that. The first thing we'll do is the Zealot. He's going to do 6 points of damage with his Holy Smite, which isn't quite as bad as it seems. So 6 points of damage. He's got 9. He's got 3 hit points left. Oh, sorry. He's got armor of 2, so he's actually got 5 hit points left. He's a bit of a tank, this Gormless Golem. Okay, so the next attack comes from the compunctious cultist. She's going to do a 3 + 1 and blight 2. So that's 4 points of damage, -2 for my armor. So I take 2 hit points, 1, 2, and I take blight 2, which isn't great because you can't really defend against blight. You just take the damage every round. All right, no problem. Then we're going to do Sibylline Xanthea. So she's got a power of heal. There's no one to heal, so she won't use her power. But she does have a standard attack for 4. So she does an attack of 4. We've got no defense. We do have an armor of 2, so we take 2 points of damage. And she doesn't get exhausted. All right, great. Now it's our attack. We can't do anything for our attack, so we lose our stun. I can't activate these guys because we're confused, and it's now round 2. All right, we're still against the odds, so we've got to defend first. We're going to decide who's attacking who before we defend. I think that I'll say the Zealot is still fighting Gorm, and that I'll take the rest of the damage. So we're going to defend. This time, hopefully, we get some kind of a defense. So our defense is, well, that's a critical miss, which is particularly bad. We do get a grit. We get 0 defense. And unfortunately, one of these fellows gets refreshed. So, do we have a choice? Not really. I think I'll just roll 50-50. So, 1 to 3, it's the compunctious cultist, and the rest is the Zealot. So that one will get refreshed. All right, so that was pretty bad. The Zealot does an attack of 3. He's got an armor of 2, so he takes 1 damage, goes down to 4. She's got an attack of 3, but she gets to use her power again. So it's an attack of 4. I've got armor of 2, so it's 2 points of damage. We've got blight 2, so we don't take any additional blight. We do take 2 blight damage, so we're down to 4. And then Sibylline attacks. She attacks for 4. We've got 2 armor. So the armor's really doing well, but we go down to 2 hit points. We're in a particularly bad way. But now it's our attack at the end of round 2. So, rather than attacking, what I'm going to do is attempt to free the princess. And I think discretion is the better part of valor here, and we will try and hightail it out of this location, because I honestly don't think there's any way we can survive. So we're down to 2 hit points. Gorm's still going, but honestly, everybody is in a particularly bad way. So the first thing we're going to do is attempt the rescue. Oops. So our rescue attempt is, we get +1, that's a 3. It's not good enough, unfortunately. It's pretty tragic. We need to get Shadow Progress 3. That is just a straight up fail, so we get no attack in this round. We can action our individual characters. So we can do an attack of 4, we can do an attack of 2. These guys have no special abilities, so they might as well attack everything. Alright, so an attack of 4, an attack of 2, we are going to take out that cultist. And now they're down to 2 only. And we go into round 3. So the problem is at the end of round 3, these guys will refresh if they need to. We've just got to soldier on. Okay, so first thing is defense. I'm going to assume that the Zealot will continue attacking Gorm. And also he has to take all the attacks. Alright, let's see what happens. So, defense. Defense is a 3, +1 is a 4. That's another miss. So go up to 5 grit. He does 3 -2. He does 1 point of damage, takes him to 3. She does 4 -2's 2 points of damage, takes him to 1. Gorm is just being pounded senseless. We go into our attack phase. Sorry, I should have processed the blight. We lose 1 hit point. We're down to 1 hit point. 1 hit point. Okay, we need to free the princess. We've got no choices here. We've got to free the princess. So we've got 2, +1 is 3 because of Shadow, and 3. So that would be a critical miss. But I'm going to burn grit. It's on 5 at the moment, so we're going to take that down to 2. And that will allow us to burn some grit. Let me just quickly adjust the camera a bit to show you a bit more of where we're at. And so we turn this into a critical success. So if you get a critical success, the first thing that happens is we gain the initiative, which is great. We also managed to free this princess who joins our party. So she has a couple of attributes. Let's see what she says there. It says she's inappropriately dressed for combat, but good in a knife fight. So she has a kind of interesting set of traits there. We get +1 presence, which allows us to have an extra companion, which is nice. We're immune to shaken, and if we can equip her, she can get +1 dagger. She's not particularly strong at attacking. So her principal trait here is really the ability to kind of give you an extra companion, which is quite nice. All right, so we place her in the party. We don't have any equipment to give her, unfortunately. And so the battle continues on. All right, so we go to round 4. So at the end of round 3, this guy is going to recover. She doesn't, and unmolested, she recovers. She hasn't got anybody to heal. We do get to attack first. We're on 1 hit point. We can use a We could use the clockwork gizmo to heal the golem 5 points. I might do that before we go into the defense. I want to hold on to this in case we encounter any cultist golems, because they're quite awkward as well. She can do an attack for 2 points of damage. All right, so we're going to look at what our options are. The best option we have here is a fighting retreat. Now, because we have the upper hand, we can execute that retreat before we get attacked, and so we can leave the combat without any, without being hit, as long as we're successful. We've got no grit down to 2, so we really need to make this roll. Now, the cool thing about a fighting retreat is you get to choose the stat that you use. So we're going to use muscle, because that's our best stat. We've got a +2 roll, and we need at least a weak hit. Let's see what we got. No! So tragically, that is a miss. So interestingly enough, if you miss on a fighting retreat, nothing changes. We just lose our attack. So it says here, an opportunity did not present itself. You continue combat. All right. So we still could attack with the Owry. I'm going to do that. She's going to get straight in there. That's the princess. And attack. Well, if she attacks him, he's just going to get healed. So I won't do that. I'll save. That'll mean that she won't use this power to heal. All right, so they're going to do 2 attacks. We've got to defend. We did do a miss, so we do get at least 1 grit. I think I'm going to have to heal our guy. We don't know if we're going to defend or not. So I'm going to use the clockwork gizmo to heal the Gormless Gorm 5 hit points. He goes up to 6. God knows we need this tank if we're going to get out of this alive. All right, so defense, we're going to have the Zealot and Xanathine the Zibelline attacking Gormless Golem. Oh, at last! We do have a defense. So we can apply each of those die to a specific attack. So in this case, this guy's going to have an attack of 6. So we'll defend for 6. And this guy's going to have an attack. Did I say 6 and 3? That's not right. 6. Sorry, it is 6 plus 2 because muscle. Plus 1 because shadow, I should say. So that is still a strong hit. So that's going to be for 6. This is going to be for 3. So she would normally do 4 hit points of damage. -3 is 1. He has an armor of 2, so no damage. And that 6 is negated by that 6, so no damage. We survive another round. We go into round 5. And we're just going to beat a fighting retreat. Again, it's our only option. So in our attack, we're going to do a fighting retreat. Oh my giddy ant. We've got 6, 1, and 1. That's not too bad. Our fighting retreat, we have to choose the stat, and our stat is muscle, so that's equivalent of a 3. We've got 1 underneath and 1 above, and that's all we need. It's not the number that counts, it's just that it's a weak hit. So it says here, if a weak hit, you can escape, but you lose the initiative. So we lose the initiative. We do manage to escape, but before we do, I'm going to have the Owry use her ability to attack for 2, to do 1 point of damage on the Zealot. And you'll see why in a moment. So he goes down to 6. He's only got 1 point of damage. And let's see what the outcome of that is. So when you escape at the end of the round, then you retreat to a nearby explored location. So we lose the tonic. And the only location that's valid for us are the vats, because we're not allowed to go into the jungle space anymore. So, yeah, this could be tricky. All right, so we retreat to the vats and we enter the rest phase. Now, because we have escaped these particular characters, we need to check to see whether or not they have the hunter keyword. So you can see at the bottom of that particular character that has the hunter keyword, which means that they will pursue us to the ends of the earth in order to get hold of us. All right, so the number of tokens that we're going to place on them. So this, unfortunately, first of all, we get rid of this dead body. So we lose that loot, we don't get to claim it, and we kind of leave it lying on the ground. But these two guys, they get stacked up on top of each other, like so, and we add 3 tokens to the pursuit. So these are the 3 tokens that go on top of here. But in addition to that, for every character that we need to heal, they add 1 extra token. So we just did a little bit of damage. So they have 4 tokens on top of them. And we managed to retreat to this particular location, and we enter the rest phase. So we get a brief respite. We definitely have to rest. We could press on, but I think that would be, well, would it be foolish? Maybe it would be foolish. Now, why do I hesitate? You would have thought, you know, we're on 1 hit point. We're near death's door. What is the problem? Well, I don't want to let this lead in front of these guys get away from us. If we can put 6 tokens on any of these when it comes to processing the peril track, then immediately these guys will give up the pursuit. Now, this is a particularly bad group. We don't really want to continue fighting them. No idea who this is, but I suspect they're not as powerful. So we need to kind of put as many tokens as possible as we can on these cards. Now remember back to the Eldritch Halls. There's this veil of enthrallment. We could press on, travel through here to try and get to the Eldritch Halls in order to trick them into being sort of suspended by those ghostly courtiers and lose them in the illusion. Unfortunately, that's not going to work, because the only way currently that we know to get to the Eldritch Halls is through this jungle tile, and we are not allowed to move through jungle tiles now, or we'll be captured by the cultists. So we don't have much option. The only thing we can do is explore through this area, hopefully join back up here maybe, or find an escape. Oh, it's not looking good. To say I thought our fortunes had turned, but that's particularly unlucky. All right, so we will rest. Let's rest. All right, so time passes. We take a token off each of these, and we place 1 token onto the threat deck, and we go into the rest phase. We recover all of our characters, and we attempt to heal. So we get +2 for the heal. That's a 7. It's not enough. It's not enough for that. We're going to get a heal of 2 only. 1, 2, go to 3. It's pretty awful. We've got no alternate rest options. Nothing. All we can do is go into the peril phase. Okay, so there's nothing to process here. We go into the peril phase and draw a card. And interestingly enough, it says you find something useful when you stop to take a breath. Well, that's most fortunate. So we get to draw a loot card. Now I'm going to immediately, so that the moment you draw a loot card, you have the option to equip it. So you can either put it into your equipment, turn it over and see what it is, or alternatively equip your companions. Now I want to equip the illusionist because that will give her this stun 2, which is kind of something that we might find very useful at some point. All right, so that's the end of the turn. We now go to the movement phase, and we can decide where we want to move to. This is particularly tricky. There's only one thing that can go here with a secret door. Secret door would be good. Secret door would be good. So I'm going to risk it and hope that we get a secret door and be able to pass through the secret door and lose some of our pursuit. So we do a move of 0 and we scout. We find the underground lake. It does have a secret door, but can it? I guess it can. Look at that. What a remarkably good fit. It's just crazy. What an amazing little draw there. Okay, so that's unexplored. Let's put a little unexplored token on the underground lake. And I think we're going to, there's no choice really. We're just going to go straight through the secret door to the other side. So again, when you go through a secret door, you do get several benefits, and all of them are good for us. So the first is that we add 3 peril tokens to the pursuit. So in other words, 3 peril tokens to the pursuit. I can add them anywhere that I like, in fact, but I'm going to try and get rid of these guys. They've got 3 already. I'm going to add 3 more to the pursuit. So there's 6 there. And if time doesn't pass, then we could possibly lose them, having gone through the secret door to the underground lake. All right, we also gain the upper hand, and we get +2 grit. So secret doors are great if you can find them, and this has just been, a really nice opportunity for us. So let's have a look-see at what is in location number 63. The underground lake. So, all right, it says, you are at the edge of a great underground lake. The ceiling of the cavern stretches up into the darkness, and a faint glow and the occasional sparkle hints at a small island just beyond your torchlight. So there's a nice little picture there. There's a little island in the middle. And so we have this peril question. Do you swim to the island, leaving behind any heavy items, or wade through the ankle-deep waters by the side of the cavern? Now, I don't have any heavy items. So normally that would be sort of like armour, and we're in cloth armour, so we don't have any of those. I'm not entirely sure what our options are going to be here. All right, where were we? Just had to get myself a cup of tea so we can continue on. All right, so we were at the underground lake, and do we swim to the island, leaving behind our heavy items, or wade through the ankle-deep waters by the side of the cavern? Well, I think I've made up my mind. I will swim to the island. Okay, so it says, you strip down, swim to the small island, and you find a makeshift home bestrewn with fish hooks, fish heads, and shiny ornaments. All right, so we also hear an ominous scuffling of feet can be heard back at the stony shore where you left your things. If you have heavy armour, discard it and take the loincloth. Yes, I've forgotten what happened there. So we don't have, it's quite good, we don't have any heavy armour, so we're just wearing cloth armour or sort of standard adventuring attire, so we're quite okay. We can avoid the loincloth for now. In addition, we discover 2 shiny items from the loot deck. So remembering when you discover things, you actually search through the loot deck looking for a matching keyword. So the first thing we find is a powder of shimmering spectrum. And that is, what is that? It's kind of like a distraction, which lets you regain the initiative. Okay, now notice we can't take these as sort of standard equipment or supply. We have to take them as the item that's revealed. So can't take that or that. Another shiny dust. Dust of the celestial comet. Stun all enemies. All right, very good. Let's discard that and continue on. So we move that to our memories. So quite a few memories. With 6 memories, you can only have a maximum of 5 memories in hand, but it's not yet the end of the round. Okay, so we've done that encounter. We have to decide whether we're going to rest or press on. So remember we talked about this a little bit earlier where if we choose to press on, we run the risk, because we're such low health, that we're going to encounter something nasty. However, we do have this Eldritch Hall that's already been pre-discovered, and it has the Veil of Enthrallment, which is something we want to trick our pursuers into being entranced and trapped within the halls. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We will press on, and we'll run the risk of what on earth is going on in the peril. So the first thing that happens is we don't have time passes, we don't rest, we go straight through to the peril phase. We need to check to see if there's anything to activate on the peril track, and there is. So these guys who started out pursuing us, the High Priestess and her Zealot, have 6 tokens on their pursuit card. And so that means, having passed through this little secret door between the vats and the underground lake, that we've managed to give them the slip, and they are no longer pursuing us. Now, we just simply put all of those things back into their respective faction decks. So you always sort of bury all faction items, and the loot that we might have gained from that encounter is lost. But that's pretty good, I have to say. That's pretty good. All right, so next thing. Okay, so that's the end of the peril track. We choose a peril card, and it says, oh, a terrifying scream. Maybe that was something happening at the altar that we just escaped. A terrifying scream echoes through the halls, and then silence. Another supplicant has enjoyed the bounty of Thoth. So spine chilling. We've got to remove all other noise. So the drums have finished drumming. And then we need to test to be shaken or not. So we'll see if we're scared or whether we're filled with fear from this horrific noise. Now, if we're shaken, then we have to roll for each of our companions to see if they're also distressed. So we've got to make that shaken roll. But interestingly enough, because we have the princess as the Elric companion, she has this special ability that says you're immune to shaken. So as it turns out, because we know that that's not the terrifying scream of the princess being murdered on the altar, we don't have to make that roll. That's pretty cool. I like the way that all kind of, comes together. Okay, so our next trick this round is to try and get rid of these cultists and escape. So I think we want to move to this Eldritch Halls location, scout, see if we can locate the tunnels that we're after, and then use the ability here to get rid of the cultists. Before that, I just have to check, I have to cast down, I can only have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I only have 5 of these, so I'll get rid of that one. And continue on. All right, so next round, we move. We're going to move to the Eldritch Halls. We're going to scout. There's only 2 map tiles left, so one of these will have to be the Burrower's Tunnels. And there we go. the burrower's tunnels. That's where we're trying to escape out of. The escape out of the tunnels. All right, so we're going to not. We could explore there straight away, but I think what we want to try and do is make use, as we run out the door, of the veil of enthrallment, which basically wiped my entire party not too much earlier in this particular adventure. So we're not going to move. We're going to camp in this location, which gives us a +1 in the rest phase. So first thing that happens is we allow time to pass. So 1 token off here and 1 token there. And, oh, it's not going to work, is it? Not going to work. Oh well, we've started. We have to finish what we started. So we come here, we rest. Where's our go? Make a roll against muscles. That's a 7. So we heal for 6. Well, it may have been worth it just for that. So we go all the way up to 9. Now, that's something you can actually split amongst the party. So I could have healed Gorm a little bit rather than just healing myself, but he's got 6 hit points, makes him still the toughest of the companions, and he's got 2 armor, so I think I need that more than he does. Are there any other things we can do in the rest phase? Glyph of Invocation. We don't have any forbidden knowledge. It's most unfortunate. No. So the only thing left is the Veil of Enthrallment. And at the rest phase, you may add up to 3 peril tokens to the peril track and move this to memory. So we're going to do that straight away. We will add 3 peril tokens to this guy here. So there's going to be 4 of these now. It's not enough to get rid of him, unfortunately. I thought it was, but I forgot that we're going to have to get rid of one of those when time passed. But we'll take that and go straight into the peril phase. There's nothing to process here. We just pull a peril card. It says a physical barrier. You are confronted by a physical barrier. Oh, so we can't get through to the tunnels without defeating this barrier. We've got to check muscle. On a strong hit, you defeat the barrier and use slow pursuit. Oh. On a weak hit, the barrier slows you down and time passes. Okay, well that's interesting. Well, that's in our favour because the barrier requires muscle. So we just need a strong hit on muscle. We've got +2 for muscle, so that gives us a 4. That's a hard miss. Anyway, our grit goes up to 6. That's a hard miss. All right, so time passes. And we then look for threat escalation. There's 3 things here, unfortunately. Take those 3 and we draw a, what is it? Just check. At the end of each turn, 3+ tokens, discard all token, cultist, humanoid. So they're not humanoids. Here we go. Another cultist humanoid with 3 tokens. So the pursuit is well and truly on. I've got 2 patrols hot in pursuit, and that's the end of the turn. Let's go onto the burrow's tunnels and see what's going on. And the final act. The tunnels. The prisoners spoke of escape through the burrow's tunnels deep beneath the Ziggurat. You travel the subterranean warrens carved by the passage of ancient horrors. In the distance, you see natural light streaming through a break in the cavern and the implacable face of a guardian golem, barring the exit. So there's a nice little picture there of us, seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Anyway, sadly, we have a guardian golem here, which we have to spawn. So to give you a kind of a view of the end, we've got the victory conditions here. If we can defeat all enemies in this encounter, we can escape through the tunnels. And so the encounter is a little bit different to the things we've seen so far. We need to spawn a clockwork cultist. So there's a few of those. Here we go. Clockwork cultist. But this clockwork cultist has a +1 armor. So he's got +1 armor. That makes him particularly difficult to deal with. And at the end of each round, we need to process time passes. Yeah. And then any denizens on the peril track that have no tokens will join the fight. And we don't process any more threat escalation. All right, so all that essentially means is we have to fight this giant golem, and every round that goes by, one of these tokens will be removed from these guys. So at the end, let's say round 4, we're going to have 2 new people reveal and join us in this battle. Now, that's not great because the loot level's very high and these guys are going to arrive at exactly the same time, like reinforcements. So we really have to kill this guy very, very quickly by the end of round 3. One of the problems that we have is that one, he's got a lot of hit points, but he's also got armor of at least 3, could be 4. So let's find out just how strong he is. And we do that by dealing out loot according to the loot level. So this 1, 2, 3, 4 loot. He doesn't get anything else because, well, he's just a golem. He's not bolstered and he doesn't have a little shield. And in fact, we only have a single matching loot item, which is quite fortunate for us. So with 1 loot, he's got equip 1. He doesn't get any of these additional abilities. The only thing that he's really looking at is when he's not hit, he'll refresh himself and cause damage to his armor. And he has a king hit, which he does 6 points of damage. So he's quite strong, but he's not as strong as he could have been. The only thing he has is a lot of armor. So he's got 3 armor. So every time we hit him with the first 3 points of damage, will simply not count. All right, so let's go into round 1 and see if we can close it out. All right, so first things first, are there any individual items that we would like to use? We have got this option to stun all enemies. So we could stun him, but I think I'm going to hold on to that in the off chance that we fail to stop these guys from arriving. Because that'll at least give us a little bit of time to try and knock them out as well. You never know, we could be lucky. So it's our attack, we get to go first. We'll just roll the attack and then see what our options are. So first things first, our attack is an abysmal failure. And so we gain 1 grit. But that's not all. We've got all of these companions and things now, so we can do a lot of our own sort of stuff. First thing I'm going to do is, I guess, the princess, she's only got like an attack of 2, so she can't even damage the guy. That's got an attack of 2. She can't damage the guy, but she can stun him for 2 rounds, so he can't act for 2 rounds. So I think we're going to do that straight away. When she casts that particular spell, Beguile, she loses a loot item, but he will be stunned for 2 rounds, which I think, at least for us, is very, very helpful. The next thing I'm going to do is I think I will just attack with the golem. He is going to attack for 4. The armor's 3, so he does only a single point of damage. So he's on 8 hit points. This could be pretty slow kind of event, unless we can actually do something. Alright, so defense, we don't have to defend. He reduces his stun to stun 1. He's kind of beguiled and charmed, doesn't know what he's doing. And so we now go to round 2 and we attack. Oh, sorry, at the end of the round, we process time passes and we remove those individual tokens. Okay, our attack. Ooh, what is that? A 4. It's a 6 because we've got +2. It's still not enough. It's 1 point of damage. It's pathetic. It's really, really hopeless. It's really, really hopeless. Yikes is all I can say. Okay, so we can't do any damage at all. All right, what I can do is I can inspire. Now, I haven't done this before. Haven't really had the need to. But you can exhaust your hero avatar to inspire one of your companions. So there's no point inspiring the illusionist because she needs equipment to be able to cast a spell. But I can inspire Gormless, the Gormless Golem, and he does an attack for 1 point of damage. So that's pretty tragic. We're down to 7, and we're into round 3. Now, he will get to attack this round. So, round 3. Oh, time passes. Things are not looking good. So we need a decent attack. We've got grit of 7. We need to really bring it out. Okay, so that's a 5. +2 is 7. It's not enough. It's not enough. It's only 4 points of damage. He has armor of 3, so he goes down to 6. And he gets to attack this round. Oh, God. All right, well, he's going to have an attack of 6. I'm going to have that directed against the Gormless Golem. He's got an armor of 2. We'll see if we can defend him. We might be able to defend him. So our defense is a 2. It's a 3 for +1 for shadow. So that's a straight up miss. We get grit. He does 6 points of damage. He's got armor of 2, so he defends for 2. He does only 4 points of damage. All right, all well and good. That's the end of the round. It's the end of round 3. This guy gets refreshed, unfortunately, at the end of round 3. The tokens get removed. So next round, these guys are going to be joining the fight. I got nothing else in me except for this last roll. We're grit sitting at 8. We really need to hit this guy or we're in serious trouble. What have we got? This might be enough. Okay, so it's 2, 6, and 5. Now, why am I saying that might be enough? Well, we have the ability to burn grit, which we're going to do, and turn this into an 8. So that's a strong hit for the 6. But we also have this ability, which we have not used to date, which is Berserk Rage. And so we can gain bonus damage on the attack if we lose the bonus result on defense. So it makes our defense a lot worse, but it makes our attack potentially better. And we can become enraged at any point, even after the die roll. So we will, and that means we'll do both of these points of damage. That's 11 points of damage, -3, takes him down to 8. That finishes him off. The golem perishes at the beginning of round 4 before our friends can join us, and we manage to escape out of the tunnels with the Princess of Arn. Now, there's a conclusion, a Jungle Fever conclusion. You defeat the last of the Guardians and lose what remains of your pursuit in the jungle. You take a moment to catch your breath. You can turn over and see what the outcome is, whether you've rescued the princess or you haven't rescued the princess. And I'll let you discover that on your own, should you download and have a go at playtesting the Ziggurat. So it lasted a little bit longer than I had anticipated. That's about as complete and as full a playthrough as you could want. We almost completed every single tile. and every single tile was explored, which is, you know, probably a longer style of game. But to be honest, I just had to see what the conclusion would be. I was convinced that when we got to the temple ruins, that we were pretty much on a roll. We had, you know, a complete complement of everything. We moved into the monastic cells, we had all companions, we had forbidden knowledge, everything. And then it just went completely pear-shaped. We lost everybody in the Eldritch halls to the illusion. We got sucked in by the tentacle and the well of souls. And to be honest, things looked pretty dire. We picked up the gormless golem Gorm, and managed to outrun the cultists and bolt for the Burrower's Tunnel. So all in all, really enjoyable playthrough. I think that's, you know, really coming together. If you're interested in playtesting it, I do have a kind of cut down version of the game, a demo, that exactly what you see here. In fact, it's obviously in the final game. I envisage having, you know, a whole range of different adventures and a kind of deeper set of encounters, so more encounters, more content. But yeah, I think it was great. Let me know what you think, and I hope to see you in the playtest. Thanks.